It is my favourite time of the year, and no, it's not December, it's not Christmas, there is no fat man coming down the chimney, but we've got a lot of jobber teams heading in to the first qualifying round of UEFA's competitions. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football. It is your European preview show. It's been a long time since we've done one of these, but we are back. And why did I enjoy this time? Why did I enjoy July? Why did I enjoy August? Maybe it's because this is when all the Diddy teams enter Europe, and that sums up my club. You know, a Diddy club that isn't really going to be participating long. You know, we're not cut out for the long run in Europe, so maybe that's why I enjoy the July, the August months, because that's when I actually get to see my team play some European football. Unless, of course, it was last season, and I got to see us play it all the way to December. But based on how the final four games went, I think I'd rather not have seen that.
How long you seen them play in Europe this season, though? Kick off against Dunfermline.
Eliminate it before July. That's when you know you've had a bad European season. See, when you're out the European competitions before July, man, that's you screwed up, buddy. Anyway, I'll blame Neil Critchley.
Critchley screwed Hearts.
Well, Stephen Naismith wasn't without blame, was he?
No, but Critchley's... Nah, they're both shy, aren't they?
No, Stephen Naismith's the guy that is fucking steered Hearts into the iceberg, and then it's like someone's just launched him overboard, and Critchley's the new captain that's come in.
And steered him into another one.
Instead of trying to steer us towards the shore, he fucking took us towards the bottom of the ocean. But here, we're back. See that £10 million investment? That can mend any ship in the world. I'm convinced that can buy anybody a raft. Shankland was trying to go on a raft and float his way out there, but nah. We've held on to him. You know the way Rose let go of Jack? Well, McInnes, when they let go of Shankland, he's like, I'll hold on to you forever. But anyway, fuck Hearts. Let's not talk about them. They're not win this.
Well,
shite.
That 10 million can't buy a European spot, can it?
No.
That's unfortunate. But, you know the score here. We talk about the British and Irish teams. Now, we can't address other games.
The big games, that there is none happening in the first round.
I look at match 1 and 2. I don't really want to talk about them. I mean, hammer on Spartans.
Aye, well, we've got a bunch of shit here. I've got Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League. So with that said, let's get into it. So any particular team you're looking forward to in this opening week of European action?
Well, I mean, it has to be Shelbourne versus Linfield. That's the interesting one that sticks out to me.
No, it is. It definitely is. And I think in previous years, these games have been played on the 11th and 12th of July. Now, I'm not saying UEFA have changed the entire thing. I know it's just fortunate. But how would this game have played it?
Well, I know, but Champions League's traditionally Tuesday, Wednesday, so...
No, I know it hasn't changed, but I'm just saying. I remember last couple of years it's been played on the 11th and 12th.
I just don't think it would have worked.
We've done enough of these shows for me to remember that.
I just don't think Shelbourne Linfield works on the 11th or the 12th,
No.
Especially if it's at Windsor Park. But we'll get to that in a minute. The new Saints, so they're in action against North Macedonia's Shkenjdija.
The new Saints, the only team for Wales I think they've got a chance. They did themselves proud last year, made it into the Conference League phase, had a 2-0 defeat against Fiorentina, which I thought was a really good result. And they were unlucky because, I mean, it was a deflected goal that gave Fiorentina the lead. They only lost 2-0, and I think they held it to the 64th minute. Aye. That's incredible. No, I don't think they've got enough credit for that.
No, they didn't. But I tell you what, this is interesting. 12 losers, right? So 12 losers this first qualifying round get transferred to the Conference League Champions Path second qualifying round. But 2 out the 14 losers go straight to the third qualifying round. So I'm going to assume that's based on coefficient and not aggregate score or whatever. So that's even if you get beat, there's a good chance you're going to the third qualifying round. But it's crucial to win this because then you're guaranteed a later round. But can the new Saints do it in the first leg, 8th of July?
It's interesting that they don't drop into the Europa.
They've got rid of that since they cut down the amount of teams in the Europa League, which we'll get into in a minute. But I'm going to go 1-0 to the new Saints.
I'm going to go 2-1 new Saints. I think that if you want to be in the Conference League group stage, because it filters down, you need to get past this first qualifying round.
Yep. And as you pointed out, the new Saints were all right in the group stage of the Conference League, and I think this team they're playing, it's not an impossible task to beat them. So I'm going 1-0. You're going
2-1.
fair enough, right? Malmo. What do you make of Malmo? Think they'll what round are they going to go in the champ? I mean, they're definitely the best team here, aren't they? I'm just scanning through Malmo, Star Bucharest, those two
I remember that
teams.
time they knocked Rangers at the Champions League.
Not too long ago. Tell you what though, Malmo and Star Bucharest both in Rangers' Europa League campaign last season. But we'll move on to Lincoln Red Imps.
Both beaten by Rangers.
Lincoln Red Imps. So they're from Gibraltar, British territory. They're going to defeat Vikingor.
Is that the only reason we're talking about them?
That's the only reason we're talking about them.
I'm going to go with a Vikingor win, 2-0.
I'll go 1-0 Vikingor. Right. Battle Island, here we go. So it's Shelbourne, Linfield. We touched on this previously. It's not Shamrock Rovers, right? Where it's I know Shelbourne won the league, right? And therefore they're the best team, but Linfield got battered by Shamrock Rovers last season. I mean, it wasn't quite 6-0, but it was still a battering. This is more even in my opinion, but I'm going to go for Shelbourne.
Yeah, Shelbourne aren't the best team in Ireland. They may be the champions, but over the years you would not have associated them with the top team in Ireland. I mean, I wouldn't even put them 2 or 3 to be honest.
No.
Probably put St Patrick's Athletic in front of them as well. And
no, absolutely.
There's a couple more teams I'd fancy over them, but you know what? I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go a 2-2 draw, and I think Linfield will probably go through in the tie.
Well, we'll predict that next week, but I'll go 2-1 Shelbourne. As for any other games, I think there's one more. Ludogorets versus Dynamo Minsk, so that's actually 2 pretty evenly matched teams. That's probably as good as a first qualifying round in the Champions
I think Ludogorets win that.
So we'll move into the Europa League, where there is no British teams or Irish teams. Obviously, though, I don't know, for whatever reason, the first qualifying round of the Europa League does not feature many teams. I mean, what games are you interested in here?
I mean, Legia Warsaw, they look like a Cluj as well. We've got Partizan Belgrade. There's Shakhtar Donetsk. There's some decent teams in this stage.
Yeah, now obviously, some of these teams will have the possibility of going into the Conference League second qualifying round, but that would be through the league main path. Obviously, there's no Champions path here because all the champions are in the good old Champions League. But some of these teams could be taking on Rangers potentially if Rangers go out against Panathinaikos. So there's a lot of question marks up in the air, but like we say here, there's no British or Irish teams, so we're not going to bother our arse with it. So we'll go in to the Conference League. So obviously with this being the lowest European competition, there is no fallback. You can't drop into anything. You just drop into hyperspace, so to speak. So
it's not a good place to be.
It's not. But first up, we have got St Patrick's Athletic versus Hegelman of Lithuania. So I'm going to go
3-1 St Patrick's. They'll get past. They'll get past this round.
They'll get pat them. I'll give them a wee pat in the back. I'll go 2-0. Larne versus Oda.
I'm going to go Larne 2-0.
I'll go 3-1 Larne.
Right, I don't rate teams for Wales, but I don't really rate teams for Malta either, to be fair. I'd say this is probably as good a chance as a Welsh team has that isn't called the New Saints. This one has been played a couple of days before the rest of the fixtures as well, so interesting. I'll go a 1-1 draw. I'll give Harvard West County the benefit of the doubt, but the Welsh league really does. It lacks. I mean,
it's like the third worst league in Europe.
Yeah.
Listen to the nick of that name, by the way. Harvard were West County.
Could you make a case if the New Saints weren't in Wales, it would be the worst league?
You could make that case, but here, I wonder what the New Saints did with a wee Conference League package.
At the same time here, if they had a couple more teams that were a similar level to the New Saints, maybe it would certainly move up a few spots.
Yeah, maybe if Cardiff, Swansea and Wrexham didn't fuck off to the English leagues, it'd have been alright.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really looked at the history of the Welsh League, but I would have to assume that TNS are on some sort of massive win streak.
No, you're right, but...
I mean, you talk about 9 in a row and 10 in a row. I would have to assume that they are well beyond that at this point. I'm actually going to check that.
You check that, but I mean, people can say what they want about the Welsh League, right? But I think the Welsh League is actually a really good example of how it would be a disaster if, like, Rangers and Celtic both left the Scottish Premiership. I'm not saying it would ever get as bad as that, right? That's what I know what I'm saying. But see, when you actually break it down and think of it, right? Cardiff and Swansea are the 2 major cities in Wales. and both of them play in the English leagues.
Wrexham probably be third.
Aye, well, yeah. No, I don't know an awful lot about Wrexham in terms of its population, but obviously Cardiff and Swansea are the two major cities, right? That would be like taking out the two major cities in Scotland, getting rid of Glasgow and Edinburgh, and all the teams for both cities play in England. That's naturally just going to make your league worse. Like, think of the amount of people that support Swansea and Cardiff. Now, I totally understand, right? See, if they were in the Welsh League, you'd probably... their fan base would get decimated because people just wouldn't be interested, but... Yeah, I don't know when that switcheroo happened for the Welsh League to move them into the English pyramid, but it's obviously affected the league, and I'm going to go with the team from Malta here to win. I'm going to go 2-0.
All right, I stand corrected. The New Saints have won every league since the 2011-12 season, bar 2, and that was back-to-back leagues in the 2019-20, 2020-21 seasons, where Connor's Quay Nomads won the league on both occasions, with the New Saints finishing second. I don't know. Coincidence that it was around COVID time? Did that affect the New Saints?
Is that not around the time the Nomads rocked up on their Harleys and beat Kilmarnock? I saw a suit of Europe, man.
Oh no. But yeah, point is, they have been pretty dominant outside of those two league
camps. See, we always talk.
It's a bit like Celtic and Rangers, isn't it? The only difference is Connor Quay Nomads have 2 trophies.
No, we always talk
about period of time.
Celtic don't want to spend the Champions League money because they don't need to. Is there a need for TNS to go out and spend $6 million in the transfer market? Fucking course there's not. See that $6 million that they made for the Conference League? That's getting pocketed by the board.
I mean, they could... Listen, let's say they went out and spent that $6 million. They don't need to spend money to win their league. That's evident. And I mean, how much better are they going to get in Europe?
No, but I'm not exaggerating.
It'd be a waste of $6 million.
I mean, maybe that's why I don't run a football club and I'm not a businessman. But see, if I was the owner of TNS or Larn, right, and my players get into the Conference League, I'd give them like a bonus of like 10 grand each. You think if it like 10 grand to every player that got you there?
I don't know what you do in Football Manager, no? I always give my players a good continental bonus.
Yeah, but my point is, how much of a bonus do you truly think that TNS and Larn got last season? I'd predict they got hee-haw.
Fucking Happy Meal at McDonald's.
They're on about £100 a week, probably.
Disgusting. Anyway, right, where are we next?
Right, we've got a bunch of other games, right? So scrolling down, there's just a bunch of Diddy teams left, right, and centre. I mean, you've got Penybont taking on Quano Salgueres.
Unfortunately, I see this being a loss for Penybont. I'm going to go with Salgueres 2-1.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Salgueres to win 3-0. And then we've got St Joseph's versus Cliftonville.
I'm going to go Cliftonville here. I'm going to go Cliftonville 3-1.
The winner takes on Shamrock Rovers in the second qualifying round. So that's an interesting one.
Could have 2 big Battle Islands there, couldn't we?
Yep, or St Joseph's could be looking to get one over on Shamrock Rovers. Also, we went 2-0 Cliftonville.
3-1.
3-1 Cliftonville. I'll go 2 each. And that is it, guys, for the European preview show. Again, not an awful lot to talk about, but when the second qualifying round hits in most of these other competitions, that's when we're all getting in.
See if Cliftonville plays Shamrock Rovers. What do you think those wee fannies, kneecap, who are they supporting?
I don't know, because Cliftonville are Catholic, so I'm going to assume they'd be.
Where do their loyalties lie?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Kneecap, wouldn't you?
It's an ironic name, isn't it?
Kneecap, it is an ironic name, but Cliftonville, they'll be looking to go through, but Shamrock Rovers would be massive favourites.
Many British, Irish teams think are going to get kneecapped in this round. Quite a few.
Well, pretty much every Welsh team, apart from TNS, maybe.
I think Harvard West County have a chance, but we'll see. I just don't really rate teams for Gibraltar or Malta even.
It's the names of the Welsh teams, man. Even TNS, it sounds like a bank. You know what I mean?
Change the S for an
RBS, you know, it's just
total non-stop shit.
Aye, that's what it is. I mean, in Harvard West County, Penybont.
Harvard West County sounds like a bowling club or something for old guys to go and play.
Aye.
Retirement home.
I mean, honestly, man, you'll struggle to find a worse name here. I'm scanning.
Why are you going to have a round of golf at Harvard West? Aye, sure, let's go. Nine holes, Dukes. You know, it's like
that Albanian team, Partisini. That's a pretty good name.
That's something you'd order into on
I can have a
on a menu.
portocini.
Give me a portocini with
With a side of
wedges or something. Or...
you get some good names here, and then you just the Welsh are just fucking dragging them all down.
Look at that Luxembourg team, Racing Union.
Oh, that's a decent name.
They could be entering the F1 grid next season.
Niemen Grodnu,
Right, that's plenty.
Fordor, Valencia.
Alright, I think we've got the point.
That's the Albanian version of Valencia, isn't it?
Aye, I mean, look, F91 Dude Lounge. Don't tell me that's not a plane.
Flight 93. Anyway,
I think they could be on for disaster as well.
Aye, they could.
F91, Flight 91.
they could be. Anyway,
When they rock up against the Moldovans, or is it the Andorrans? Those flag looks very similar. Which ones? I think that's Andorra.
aye, because Moldova looks like it is because Andorra's Spanish, and that's definitely Spanish. Petrol Club, who she is definitely Moldovan.
Aye.
There you go.
Similar though.
Aye,
Very similar
aye, no,
to the naked eye, you know.
Yeah, but the Moldovans
If
don't
you
speak
look-
Spanish, so that's
Yeah, I know,
what
but if you squinted at it, like you'd be struggling to.
FCB Magpies, that's a pretty pish name. Look at that Belarusian team. Torpedo Belazid Sardinia. That sounds like the sort of weapon that fucking Putin would be using.
Uh-huh.
Torpedo Belazid
See
Sardinia.
if you were linked to him for like 10 million, you'd probably think
what,
yes.
Putin?
No, that Torpedo Bersal Sardinians.
Aye.
Sounds like someone who could be getting a nomination for Player of the Year in the midfield. But anyway, guys, that's it.
Aye, a bunch of funny sounding names. But you know what? We'll be back Friday, Thursday night to recap it all, and then we'll be back next week as well to talk about it all again. But round 2 is what I'm looking forward to, man.
That's when the big teams come in.
That's it. Rangers, Panathinaikos.
See you there, Dundee United.
Looking forward to it.